Hey folks, welcome back to the bench. Well, you can see a muddy piece of gear here. Last time I was running the garbage to the dumpster, being the slight hoarder that I am, I couldn't leave well enough alone. I found this laying on the ground there. Well, what it is, you can probably tell already. It's a car stereo amplifier. Now it probably should have stayed there, but like I say, I couldn't leave well enough alone. I'd figure I'd grab it, bring it home, and crack it open and see what may or may not be wrong with it. So tonight's video, I'm just gonna maybe clean it up so it doesn't leave a giant mess on my bench, and we'll open it up and see if there's anything obvious. It's pretty crusty, rusty. One of the fuses is missing and whatnot, but what the heck. If nothing else, I'll just have time invested in it. So first thing I'm going to do is get all this mud off of it, and so it's not leaving a giant mess on the bench, and we'll open her up and see what we see. Well, I got most of the schmutz off now. Got some damage on it here. Looks like it took a good wallop, but I can see here it's a Clarion APA 4320. So it's a 4-channel amplifier. I looked up the specs. If I recall, it's a 4-channel amp, and it'll do I can't remember if it's 60 watts per channel into a 4-ohm speaker, or 80 watts per channel into a 2-ohm speaker, hence the 320. So 80 times 4, 320. And also, I didn't find a whole lot for reviews or anything. This is, I think, a 2006 model amplifier, and I know Clarion, I think, used to be good, but now I don't know. I think they're only kind of a mid-grade model amplifier now. I don't think there's that great, but I figure for free, why not? If I get it fixed, yes, I'm going to try to fix it. I only know enough about amplifiers to be dangerous, so this is not going to be a how to repair an amplifier video, that's for sure. Just don't take it as that. But if I can fix it, I will probably use it in my old 300ZX car that I have, or maybe my truck. I don't know, we'll see. So okay, let's bust this open and see what we can see. Like I say, there's one fuse missing. Maybe there was a problem with the power supply section, or who knows, but this fuse is actually still intact. But let's bust into it and see if there's anything horrific going on inside. I got some visitors here, so if you hear any noise in the background, it's just a silly dog and my silly son. Okay, so it's pretty crusty inside. I can see some corrosion and whatnot on the capacitors and so on. But the real test is you got to get in and pull everything off here so you can see all the transistors, the MOSFETs, and the rectifiers and whatnot. So got to get this board out. And I think to do that, it just slides out once you take one of these end caps off, and all of these clips. I noticed none of the capacitors are bulged, but they are rusty, and they're what are they? Misuda brand, which I think is just a cheapo Chinese brand. They're not a good one like a what are they, Nichicon, or I can't remember some of the other good brands. But let's get this board right out of here now. And here's where we might see something, but once I pull all these clamps off, maybe we'll see a blown MOSFET or rectifier. If the camera gets knocked, it's just my moose of a dog. And my moose of a son.
Hey, I'm not doing anything.
No. Now I'm suspecting it's a problem with the power supply section because of the fuse missing, but what do I know? I haven't really successfully repaired any amplifiers yet. Okay, I'm going to finish this off, get this board out, and we'll clean it up and we'll take a closer look. Okay, I finally got it all out of there, out of the heat sink. It was a little bit tricky. There's a few bolts that slide into a slot and hold it in and all that, but finally got it and cleaned up a bunch of the heatsink compound off of it. So that's that white goop that's on there, just so I can see part numbers and whatnot. And I'm just looking just to do a preliminary look. Sometimes when these transistors and that blow, MOSFET transistors, metal oxide field effect transistor, they'll blow right out, they'll make a hole and everything, but I don't actually see anything obvious. But that doesn't mean they are blown, and there's so I'll have to go through and test them. I'm not going to do any actual troubleshooting tonight. I got a little bit of research to do, but the way most amps are laid out, this is I don't know if this is a class A, B, it's probably class A, B amp, but it's been a long time since I did my electronics engineering tech course, so I don't remember all that much anymore, but basics, the way these amps are laid out. Got your power supply. I'll just turn it this way. Maybe I can zoom you in so you can see a bit more. So this here is your power supply section. You got your 12 volts from your vehicle coming in, and this is a switching power supply. So what it does is it uses these. There's a controller chip, which is going to be one of these two. Not sure. Let's see if I can remember. LM393. I think it's this guy right here. That maybe if I prop it up, that'll be easier for you to see. Now, remember, I may be talking out of my butt, and this might be all wrong, but I kind of know. Anyhow, so like I was saying, this power supply section, 12 volt comes in through here. Looks like, and from there, the circuitry in this section, what it does is these are MOSFET transistors. They switch on. They can be switched on and off real fast. So this, if this is the correct chip, what it does is it turns the 12 volts gets fed to these MOSFET transistors, and this turns those transistors on and off. So it turns your DC, which is a flat. Well, if you know a DC, it's flat, and it chops it up into a square wave. So then that square wave is alternating current as opposed to direct current. Once that square wave or that alternating current is created, it gets put through this transformer, and what the transformer does is it takes that 12 volts alternating current and boosts the voltage up. And I don't know what this boosted up to. It might be 40 volts, it might be 80 volts, I have no idea. So then you get a boosted voltage coming out of the transformer. And once it comes out of the transformer as AC, it goes to these diodes. There's 4 of them here, which is a diode bridge, and that converts the boosted up AC back to DC. And I'm not sure if this amplifier has a plus and minus rail. I think it does. I see a VDRV plus and VDRV minus. So it takes you get a plus 4. Let's say this puts out 80 volts, plus and minus 40 volts. Sorry, 80 volts. You get a plus and minus 40 volts for your rails on the output, and then that is used. I don't know how the amplifier part works. It's got MOSFETs as well. These guys here, and then your signal comes in here, your audio signal, and The amplifier uses these transistors in a amplifier. Sorry, you can't see what I'm showing you. This is the output section here, and your signal comes in from your stereo, and it can be boosted up between those plus and minus, theoretical plus and minus 40 volts rail. So that's not sure how it does. It's an amplifier in some way with the transistors, and that's how you get your amplified voltage, or sorry, amplifier audio. Now, sorry, I'm stumbling an awful lot tonight, but so in any case, that's a real super simple theory. There's better videos on YouTube. You can go check them out. It tells you exactly how it works with diagrams and so on. So I'm just giving you, again, real basic. Now, what I'll be doing, and I'll maybe do it in the next video, is I'm going to use my multimeter, and you can, I don't know if you can see, let me zoom you back out, sorry, crappy video tonight, but whatever. It's a 4th channel amp, so there's like 4 identical sections here if you really look closely, and they're even labeled channel 2, channel 1, channel 3, channel 4, and each one has a complement of big transistors, small transistors, and these, I'm sure, yeah, these are transistors as well. I'm not sure what they're doing. It's probably like a preamp stage, but you can, if you look at all 4 of these sections, they're all identical layout. And what you can do is you can test, most of the times with these amplifiers blow up one of these, either the input transistors or sorry, the power supply transistors will die, or these big output transistors will die. And you can use your multimeter on for measuring resistance, and just check to see if any of them are shorted out, and if they are, you can go ahead and replace them. And if you do find they're shorted out, I think it's best if you replace all the transistors. Like if one of these is blown up, it's probably best to replace 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all 8 of them, but that way the new ones you get all come from the same batch, so they'll have all the same specs, because even if you buy the same part number, the specs are going to be a little bit different because it's a different batch, and it may not work as well. So I think it's just best practice to replace them all. They're not that expensive. The other thing I'm going to do, if I'm going to go through and replace any of these, is I'm going to put new capacitors in them, just because these ones are rusty and they're poor quality, and capacitors are cheap. I'm not going to worry about these little guys, but these are the bigger capacitors that are used on the power supply to help with the power supply. When it's rectified, it gets rid of all the ripple and whatnot. So in any case, I don't know, looks like it might be worth moving forward with. Maybe I can fix it, maybe I won't, no guarantees, but hopefully you find this somewhat interesting, and I'll be back with look up these transistors, see if they're cheap and if I can get them, and then we'll move on from there. So in any case, take care and talk to you later.